Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Stadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 49. Om, all hail to Almighty Vasudeva. Sri Shuka said, Thus to Elephantopolis he went, with glory of Pauravas radiant, where he the son of Ambika did greet, and did Bhishma, Vidura, Pritha meet. He also met Ballika and his son, Bharadwaja, Gautama, the great one, Karna, Suyodhana, Droni allied, the Pandavas and other friends beside. Greeted with all respect and dignity by his kinsman, the son of Gandhini, was inquired of by his dear friends there, and he in turn inquired of their welfare. For a few months he made there his dwelling, to learn the conduct of the feeble king, who was by wicked counsellors subdued, and who their unjust policies pursued. The great prowess, the skill and potent might, humility and other virtues bright, and love the subjects bore for Pritha's sons, was insufferable to evil ones. Both Pritha and Vidura did relate how Dhritarashtra's sons, driven by hate, did poison give and other plots contrive, the sons of Pandu of life to deprive. Pritha, thus having opportunity, came to see her cousin brother privily, and of her birthplace made inquiries, the which recalling, tears rolled from her eyes. Sri Kunti said, O gentle one, do my parents at all, and brothers, sisters, and nephews recall, and do my girlhood friends and family, and other kinsmen there remember me? Does my nephew, Krishna, the deity, who loves the devout and the refugee, and lotus-eyed Rama, whom all revere, remember their paternal cousins here? I languish here in the midst of the foe, as when a pack of wolves surround a doe. Will he come here to mollify our grief, and grant to his orphaned cousins relief? O Krishna, Krishna, supreme yogin great, soul of the world, who the world doth create, O Govinda, save us, your refugees, myself and my sons are your devotees. I see no other shelter or retreat, aside from your lotus flower-like feet. For mankind, fearful of transmigration, you are the God who confers salvation. Hail to Krishna, the Immaculate One, the Self-Supreme and Almighty Brahman. Hail to the Lord of Yoga, Yoga's source. In you as my refuge I take recourse. Sri Shuka said, Thus she, remembering her family, thinking of Krishna, the world deity, your grandmother, O king, without restraint, wept in anguish her tears and made her plaint. Akrura and Vidura, in distress, consoled, knowing her woe and happiness, and comforted her by praising of her sons, and the unique birth of those mighty ones. Before he left, he sought the doting king, partial to his own sons in favouring, and in the midst of his well-wishers there, the message of his kinsman did declare. Sri Akrura said, O Vichitra Virya's son, great hero, from whom the Kuru's fame and greatness grow. Your brother Pandu, having passed away, you have assumed the throne and regal sway. By righteousness in the world to maintain, to please the subjects under your domain, and equally disposed to family, you shall gain renown and prosperity. But if you behave contrary to this, you shall be censured and go quite amiss. Therefore treat with impartiality the sons of Pandu and yours equally. Staying together in this world are none. One cannot dwell always with anyone. O king, one must resign body and life. What then of offspring? What then of the wife? A man is born alone, alone he dies, alone he suffers joys and miseries, alone the soul his destined way proceeds, prompted by his pious and evil deeds. By unrighteousness lost is pious gain, and evil relatives his goodness drain, as finny fish in shallow pools at strife drink up the water that sustains their life. A fool nurtures with vice his family, clinging to them in self-identity, and thus without fulfilment plays his part. Then life and treasures and offspring depart. He carries with him thence the heap of sin, unknowing how his own true gain to win. His purposes and gain in life are lost, averse to duty, into darkness tossed. Therefore, O king, all this world is, I ween, a contrivance of the mind, like a dream. Therefore, with sense control and mind restored, be tranquil and equanimous, my lord. Dhritarashtra said, O master donor of great charity, your salutary speech much pleaseth me, as when a mortal satisfaction gains, when deathless ambrosia he attains. And yet your speech, which wisdom doth impart, does not remain settled within my heart. Love for my sons my intellect enshrouds, as restless lightning flits amid the clouds. Who can avoid irrevocable fate? That Lord Supreme is now here incarnate, and has appeared earth's burden to assuage, and taken birth in Yadu's lineage. All hail to him who thus this world generates, who with his Maya and the Gunas creates, and enters in his power to display, and here enacts his inscrutable play. He thus turns the cycle of transmigration. All hail to him who confers salvation. Sri Shuka said, thus, having learnt of the king's attitude, that foremost of Yadus his way pursued, and taking leave of his well-wishing friends, back to the Yadu's capital he wends. To Rama and Krishna he did declare the behaviour of Dhritarashtra there. O Kuru prince, he thus performed with skill the task that he was sent there to fulfill. Thus ends chapter 49 in book 10 of the great and glorious Bhagavata Purana, the text beloved of swan-like saints, sung by the son of Vyasa. And now chapter 50, the argument. With Kamsa slain, his widowed wives resort to their father, great Jarasanda's court. Mighty legions, in number 23, leads forth, which are destroyed by Lord Hari. To keep his people free from sore distress, he had constructed a mighty fortress, a vast city, impregnable and fair, called Dwarka, and took his people there. Then came he, unarmed, from the city gate, which chapter 50 doth at length relate. Sri Shuka said, Asti and Prapti, Kamsa's wives by name, O foremost of Bharats, widowed became, and grieving over their departed spouse, disconsolate went to their father's house. To their father, Jarasandha, the king of Magadha, th' unwelcome news they bring, and in distress the cause to him relate, which had occasioned their sad widowed state. Hearing those sad tidings, O king, he flew into remorse and raging wrathful grew. He then made plans his puissance to employ, to rid the world of Yadus and destroy. He then amassed a mighty host to see, of Akshohini legions 23, and invested Mathura on each side, the Yadus' capital where they abide. When Krishna saw that force and armament, like ocean overbearing continent, his city besieged by the enemy, he feared for his people calamity. Almighty Hari pondered his intent, and the great cause of his human descent, considering time, place, and circumstance, the purpose of his advent to advance. This mighty host foregathered I will slay, the burden of the good earth to allay, mustered by Magadha's king in his pride, along with those monarchs to him allied. I shall slay these legions of potent force, of elephant, chariot, foot, and horse, but that he might gather new force again, the king of Magadha shall not be slain. And as for this purpose, I am incarnate, to lighten earth of her burdensome weight, to save the holy ones, which to fulfill, the others who are evil I shall kill. I have whilom assumed bodies of old, the codes of righteous conduct to uphold, at such times unrighteousness to arrest, I am from time to time made manifest. As Govinda was musing, sudden nigh 2 sun-bright cars descended from the sky, each furnished with a brave charioteer, fully equipped with warlike goodly gear. His ancient weapons thereupon appear, that he in olden times was wont to rear, which seeing Hrishikesh did vastly please, who spoke to Sankarshan in words like these. Lo and behold, O noble one adored, the Yadus' plight, thou art their saving lord. Thy favourite weapons, long tested in war, have come here along with thy mighty car. Did we not take our birth and so commit to confer on holy ones benefit? These 23 legions in array constitute earth's great burden. Do thou slay. Thus he, and having made the case for war, the 2 Dasarhas mounted each his car, rode out of the city, weapons in hand, escorted by a small and loyal band. Daruka took the reins, and driving fast, Hari on his conch blew a mighty blast, which did awe in the enemy awake, who trembled in their hearts and fearful quake. When Magadha beheld the 2 approach, he loaded the Lord with his vile reproach. Base Krishna, I will not with you engage. O shameless coward, a mere boy in age. O fool who hide yourself, I will not slay. O killer of your kin, begone, away. But, Rama, if you in your strength confide, come forth and let your strength with me be tried. Sliced by my arrows you will not survive, or haply you may me of life deprive. The illustrious one said, Brave heroes do not boast and bluster so, but show their manliness by what they do. We accept not your speech, mere waste of breath, indulged in by those on the verge of death. Jara's son the two Madhavas opposed, and like a flood the enemy enclosed, and soldiers, cars, horses, and flags enshroud, as hidden is the sun by wind-swept cloud. When they the Suparna flag could not see, nor the palm flag of Rama and Hari, the damsels who from the rampart survey, distressed by lamentation, swoon away. When Hari saw his own forces oppressed, and by the rain of arrows sore distressed, he reared his mighty horn bow, known to fame as the most excellent Sharanga by name, and raised a loud twanging, pulling the cord that mighty gods and demon hosts adored. He placed an arrow on the cord and drew, and lo, a flood of keen-edged arrows flew, and cut down chariots, tuskers, and steeds, and slicing men on every side proceeds. His arrows wrought destruction on each hand, and wheeled around like a great firebrand, which split heads, elephants fell to the ground. The severed necks of steeds were scattered round, the cars were devastated, horses slain, fluttering flags were shattered in disdain. The car warriors and their drivers too, and infantry who upon foot pursue, were cut down in the conflict and alarms, and shortened of their shoulders, legs, and arms. The sliced members of the men, flowing with blood, and steeds and tuskers formed a sanguine flood. Streams flow with severed arms like serpents dread, and heads protruded as the turtle's head. The slaughtered tuskers represent vast isles, and horses' heads were there the crocodiles. The hands were fish as the river proceeds, the hair of men resembled water weeds, and bows appeared like ripples in the stream, like clumps of weeds the heaps of weapons seem. The whirlpools were the wheels of mighty cars, the pebbles were gems that sparkle like stars, for the timid a terrifying sight, but to the wise a source of much delight. Sankarshana with from his mace a blow, the army of the Magadhan laid low. Oh, dear one, it was like an ocean vast, awesome, unfathomable, unsurpassed, but to that force led by Magadha's king, Vasudeva's sons did destruction bring. To them it was but merely playful sport, who are the lords of the world and its support. For one who the three worlds doth generate, maintain, and finally annihilate, merely his playful nature to express, whose divine attributes are limitless, it is not such a wonder and surprise that he should thus dispatch his enemies. But when to play as a man he proceeds, poets rejoice and celebrate his deeds. The lordly Rama of the puissant might seized Jarasandha and held to him tight, who lost his army but did breath retain, as lion by greater lion is ta'en. While he with Varuna's ropes gan to bind, and keep the foe-destroyer thus confined, Govinda requested him to desist, and for some further purpose be dismissed. Released by the world lords of mighty fame, he was stung by remorse and bitter shame, and resolved on strict penance to essay, but was forbid by kings met on the way. They convinced him with specious reasoning that but past deeds their consequences bring, and that due to past actions it was meet that suffered he at Yadu's hands defeat. To Brihadrata's son naught did remain. The king's grand army was routed and slain, and having been by the supreme lord spurned, woeful he to Magadha's realm returned. Intact Mukunda's forces did remain, and in the conflict crossed the mighty main. The 30 gods, in exultation high, sent down a rain of flowers from the sky. The people of Mathura came elate, relieved of their fever, to congratulate, and bards and poets in their lofty lays recount his victory and sing his praise. Conches and drums and kettle drums resound, the horns and pipes reverberate around, venas, flutes, mridangas, the concert swell, as the 2 lords entered the citadel. The roads were swept and washed with water clean, the city's residents were joyful seen, the chanting of Vedic hymns permeates, and festive wreaths were hung upon the gates. The women, having sprinkled him with care, with rice and yogurt, sprouts and garlands fair, to gaze on him with love were gratified, that caused their lovely eyes to blossom wide. The spoils of victory lay scattered round, the ornaments of heroes strewed the ground, and to the Yadu king that precious hoard was presented with honour by the Lord. Magadha's king 17 times had led his mighty legions, but was defeated, and by the Yadu force was overthrown, who Krishna as their Lord Protector own. Thus, every time his puissance forward led, he was by the Vrishnis discomfited, by Krishna's power, and when all were slain, his enemies let the king go again. Now, when he his 18th campaign began, and to invest the city laid his plan, at the instance of Narada, the sage, a Yavana hero came to engage. With 30 million savages he pressed, and Mathura and its realm did invest. He saw no rival among all mankind, but heard that rivals he would Vrishnis find. When Krishna and Sankarshan this beheld, they pondered and deliberations held. Calamity on Yadus doth betide, assailed on 2 fronts and on every side. The Yavana besieges us today in preparation for the deadly fray. The Magadhan tomorrow may contrive, or the day after, and with force arrive. While we to face the Yavana advance, the son of Jara may seize on the chance our kinsmen to encounter and to slay, or take them to his city far away. Therefore, today we shall a fortress make, that no force of 2-legged men may take. Conduct our kinsmen there without delay, and then this barbarous Yavana slay. The Lord thus concluded his conference. Full 12 yojanas in circumference, he had a fortress built within the sea, furnished with all wonderful things to see. The foundations of the city were laid, where Twastra's skill in design was displayed, where wide-wayed high roads in quadrangles meet, and many a bazaar and market street. There stately trees of celestials shine, embraced by tendrils of the creeping vine, fine gardens and gold domes that touch the sky, and towers made of crystal standing high. The magazines and storehouses were made of silver, brass, and gold with gems inlaid. The houses, all with golden vessels shine, were decked with gems and great beryl divine. adjacent to which finely built abode was reared a temple to the chosen god. There crowds of people of 4 orders dwell. There stands the Yadu Deva's citadel. The great Indra brought down to Lord Hari Sudharma hall and Parijata tree. Who dwell within that hall doth well protect, though mortal needs do not affect. Lord Varuna offered with pious care white horses swift that each had a black ear. The Lord of 8 treasures treasure conveyed. The guardian gods their wealth before him laid. What power from the Lord they did receive, fulfilment of their functions to achieve, of that to him they now made offering, while Hari on the earth remained, O king. Then Hari, by yoga power transferred the subjects thence, and with Rama conferred, and having decided in their debate, Krishna then ventured from the city gate, and without arms or weapons forward sped, with lotus flower wreaths engarlanded. And thus ends chapter 50 in book 10 of the great and glorious Bhagavat Purana, the text beloved of swan-like saints, sung by the son of Vyasa. Footnote: in the Padma Purana there are 2 verses which Vishwanath Chakravarti cites in his commentary on the last verse there. While Mathura's inhabitants slumbered, Janardana from the city transferred, and thus they were removed at dead of night and settled in Dwaraka with delight. The people thereon awoke to behold, and found themselves in palaces of gold, with offspring and their wives were thither brought, and were amazed and with much wonder fraught. Hare Krishna. Om Tat Sat.